Okay, so everyone's talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's either going to the moon or crashing and burning.
Right.
So which is it?
Yeah. Big question.
Can we actually predict where it's going to go?
$1,000,000 question.
Exactly. Well, today we're going to take a deep dive into a data science project
Oh, cool.
that tries to do just that,
Wow.
uses AI
Yeah.
and a bunch of hardcore data analysis techniques
Abstract.
to see if we can actually predict
Okay.
Bitcoin's future price.
Eh.
Full disclosure, this is going to get a bit technical because it's the data science project.
Sure.
But we're going to try to translate all the geeky stuff into
Yeah.
plain English, so you don't need to be a data scientist to follow along.
I like that.
So to kick things off,
Yeah.
the analysis uses a model called SARIMAX, which is kind of a mouthful.
Yeah.
But think of it this way.
Okay.
It's a model that's really good at predicting things
Okay.
that change over time,
Uh-huh.
like Bitcoin's price.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So what kind of data are we working with here?
So they used a ton of historical Bitcoin price data
Okay.
going all the way back to 2012
Wow.
when Bitcoin was just a baby.
Yeah.
All the way up to 2017.
Okay, that's a pretty good chunk of time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but Bitcoin's price, it's kind of been all over the place, hasn't it?
It has. It's like if you look at the price charts,
Yeah.
it's a roller coaster. Up, down, sideways, you name it.
Wild ride.
So predicting its price is super tricky.
Right.
It's like trying to hit a moving target.
So how do you even begin to predict something that's so unpredictable?
Well, that's where this analysis gets really interesting.
Okay.
So the first thing they had to figure out is if Bitcoin's price data is stationary.
Stationary.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So it basically means that the way the price changes,
Okay.
whether it's going up or down or staying the same,
Right.
is consistent over time.
Yeah.
But when they tested Bitcoin's price history,
Uh-huh.
they found that it wasn't stationary at all.
So it's all over the place.
Totally.
Okay, so it's like
Yeah.
if you're trying to predict the weather,
Yeah.
but you're only looking at how windy it was every day for a year,
Uh-huh.
you're going to miss those big seasonal changes.
Exactly. You got it.
Right. So
I-
they had to use some special techniques
Yeah.
to account for those bigger patterns.
They did?
Okay, so what did they do? Did they call in a Bitcoin whisperer?
Well, not quite. But they did use a few mathematical tricks.
Okay.
One is called differencing,
Okay.
and it helps them look at the changes in price from one period to the next,
Okay.
instead of just the raw prices themselves.
So instead of looking at the actual price of Bitcoin on January 1st,
Right.
they'd look at how much the price changed from December to January.
That's the idea.
Okay.
And they actually did this for different time periods,
Okay.
like comparing January of one year to January the previous year
Uh-huh.
to see if there were any seasonal trends.
Wow. Okay, so they are basically looking for those hidden patterns
Exactly.
by looking at those changes in price over
Yeah.
time.
Uh-huh.
But why?
Right.
Why is it so important
Okay.
to make the data stationary?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because most prediction models
Okay.
work best when the data is stable and predictable.
So
Yeah.
imagine you're trying to predict
Uh-huh.
the path of a leaf
Right.
that's floating in a gentle stream
Okay.
versus one that's caught in a raging torrent.
Right.
Which one's easier to predict?
Definitely the one in the gentle stream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So by making the Bitcoin data stationary,
Yeah.
they're basically creating a calmer stream
Exactly.
for their prediction model to work with.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've tamed the wild Bitcoin data
They have.
by making it stationary.
Yes.
But how do they actually use this calmer stream of data
Right.
to make a prediction?
Big question.
Do they have some kind of magic formula?
Not magic, but it is pretty cool.
Okay.
They use this model called SARIMAX.
SARIMAX.
Yeah.
I feel like we've heard that before.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful.
It stands for Seasonal Autoregressive Integrated Moving Average with Exogenous Variables.
Okay. Yeah. So
So what is this?
so mouthful.
Yeah, it does sound very transformer-y.
Yeah.
What does this SARIMAX transformer actually do with the Bitcoin data, though?
So it analyzes all those patterns in the data, the upswings, the downswings, the seasonal trends,
Okay.
and it tries to project those patterns into the future.
So it's like looking at a map of where Bitcoin's price has been and then trying to draw the road ahead.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
But finding the right path isn't easy.
Right.
It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Sure.
They had to test different configurations
Okay.
of the model to see what worked best for Bitcoin.
To like trying on different outfits
Yeah.
to see what looks best. Yeah, and to make sure they chose the best fitting model, they used a special scoring system called AIC,
AIC.
a Kaike Information Criterion.
Okay, is that like a scorecard for the models?
You can think of it that way.
Oh.
The model with the lowest AIC score
Huh?
is usually the best
Okay.
because it means it's capturing the patterns in the data
Right.
without getting overly complicated.
Got it. So they found the best fitting SARIMAX model.
Yes.
Drum roll, please.
Okay.
What did it predict?
So before we get to the big reveal,
Okay.
we have to talk about one more important step.
Okay.
Checking the model's leftovers.
Leftovers.
Yeah, what statisticians call residuals.
Like pizza crusts.
Haha, kinda.
Okay.
So residuals are the differences between what the model predicted
Okay.
and what actually happened in the historical data.
Okay.
It helps us see if the model missed any important details.
So if the model's doing a good job,
Yeah,
the leftovers should be pretty small.
exactly.
Huh.
Ideally, they should be small and random, like crumbs scattered around a plate.
Right.
If there are any big chunks left over,
Uh-huh.
it means the model might be missing something important.
Interesting. Okay. So did they find any big pizza crusts?
They found that the residuals were pretty small and random.
Okay. Good news.
So good news.
The model's doing a good job.
It did a good job capturing the main patterns.
Okay, so it sounds like we've got a pretty solid model.
We do.
Or we're finally ready for the big reveal.
We are, but remember the model made its prediction using that transformed stationary data.
Right.
So to get back to the real world of Bitcoin prices, they had to reverse those transformations.
Well,
It's like translating the model's language back to something we can understand.
so they've translated the prediction.
Yes.
And-
I think it would be more impactful to show you.
Ooh.
Take a look at this graph.
Okay.
You can see the historical Bitcoin prices in blue,
Okay.
and then the model's prediction is the dashed red line extending into the future.
Okay, so it looks like it's showing Bitcoin's price going up and down
Mm-hmm.
in a wave-like pattern.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by those cyclical patterns we talked about earlier?
Exactly. The analysis suggests that Bitcoin's volatility is likely here to stay,
Oh, fun.
at least based on how it's behaved in the past.
Right.
But of course, this is just a prediction.
Right. No one can predict the future with 100% certainty,
Absolutely.
especially when it comes to something like Bitcoin.
Especially Bitcoin, there are so many things that could influence its price news events regulations,
Right.
even just people's feelings about it.
Yeah, for sure.
This analysis gives us one possible scenario based on historical data.
Okay.
It's not financial advice.
Really important point.
Yes.
So while this prediction is fascinating,
Yeah,
we shouldn't base all of our investment decisions on it.
right.
There are so many other factors to consider.
For sure.
But even if this particular prediction isn't perfectly accurate,
Uh-huh.
the process of creating it has probably revealed some valuable insights.
Definitely. It highlights how complex and dynamic the cryptocurrency market is
Okay.
and reminds us to approach it with caution and a lot of research.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
I think so.
We've learned about making data stationary,
Yeah.
building these fancy prediction models,
Uh-huh.
even interpreting those mysterious residuals.
Right.
So now let's explore some of the broader implications of using AI to predict something as volatile as Bitcoin.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back, and we've been talking all about Bitcoin
I have.
and whether we can actually predict its future price
Right.
using AI and data science.
Exactly.
And before the break, we were looking at this graph
Yeah.
that showed Bitcoin continuing to go up and down,
Uh-huh.
kind of like a wave.
Yeah.
The cyclical patterns we talked about.
It looks like Bitcoin's volatility is here to stay.
Oh, fun. So does that mean we should just expect Bitcoin to keep acting like a roller coaster?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, buckle up and be prepared for a wild ride. But seriously, it just highlights the fact that Bitcoin is risky.
Yeah.
High risk, high reward.
Right. You definitely don't want to just jump into this without
Right.
doing your research.
Exactly.
But for people who are okay with a little bit of volatility,
Yeah.
this kind of analysis can be helpful.
Totally. Even though we can't predict the future with 100% certainty,
Right.
understanding those cyclical patterns can help investors make more informed decisions.
Right. So it's like having a map that shows you the general terrain,
Uh-huh.
but it can't tell you exactly where every bump and curve in the road is going to be.
Exactly.
But you mentioned that this analysis isn't just about predicting a specific price.
Right.
What other insights can we glean from this?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that the way data is prepared and analyzed
Yeah.
can have a huge impact on the results.
Like how they had to make the data stationary.
Exactly. They had to smooth out those wild fluctuations to
Yeah.
see those underlying patterns.
So it's like saying if you only look at the waves crashing on the shore,
Uh-huh.
you're going to miss the tide coming in.
Perfect analogy.
So zoom out. Look at the bigger picture.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, why should people care about all of this?
Well, I think the most important message is that AI and data science are becoming incredibly powerful tools for analyzing complex systems,
Right.
like financial markets, but they're not magic bullets.
Right.
It's crucial to understand the limitations of these models
Sure.
and to use them responsibly.
It's like having a super fast car.
Okay.
You know, it can get you where you want to go quickly,
Right.
but you still need to know how to drive it
Yeah.
and be aware of the rules of the road.
Exactly.
So approach these technologies with a healthy dose of skepticism
Yeah,
and critical thinking.
for sure.
Well, I think we've learned a lot today
Me too.
about Bitcoin, about data science,
Yeah.
about the challenges of predicting the future. And even though we can't know for sure what will happen to Bitcoin's price,
Right.
this deep dive has given us a better understanding
Yeah,
of the factors that might influence it
for sure.
and the tools that are being used to analyze it.
It has.
So to wrap things up,
Okay.
knowing what you now know about Bitcoin,
Yeah.
what factors do you think will have the biggest impact on its future? Let us know your thoughts and keep on diving deep.